just on a number of the slides that came through, I noticed that everyone's investing in ICT. So compared to ICT, which seems to be the hot baby at the moment, how much money is actually going into clean tech from an investment perspective?
We're not investing in ICT, so I'll leave that to other people.
That's a good question. I didn't arm myself with global numbers. Certainly ICT is, I think much larger at this point and historically has been. I don't know if you can validate that as a figure. From my fund's perspective,
can I limit it a little bit? Because really, my main interest point is within the Alberta space, especially given the recent departure of people like Nortel that would have been a key player in that space, right?
well,
Depends on how you look at it. There is probably about equal clean tech and ICT. If you include clean tech as being like the bio oils pieces in the industrial gas and energy production, wind power, etc., it's about equal.
would it be half your portfolio?
We have the slide up there about just almost half the portfolio is clean tech, and it overlaps with ICT, and about a third is ICT. So our portfolio, we're heavily weighted on clean tech.
Our target is 20%, 50% in ICT, 30 life science, and 20 clean tech. If anything, we will undershoot that with this fund. We overshot it in our first fund.
Okay. Other questions? Go ahead.
I have a kind of specific question about the agricultural biotech sector, but it also spills over into all of the other clean tech sectors. In discussions that I've had with people over the years talking about analytical services, and I'm talking about chemical analytical services now because that's my area, there's a lot of people that have asked me, what can you do out in the field? Okay, and that's one of the areas that we're starting to work in is building field-based instrumentation. And so I'll give you the specific example. I've had discussions with people who have been involved on the biofuels end of things, and they're concerned, or they're saying that they're being limited in the small-scale production of biofuels, either for their own use or as a small cooperative or something like that, by the high costs and the high difficulty that there is in doing process control measurements when they're trying to make biofuels. Okay, and I think that's actually something that a lot of clean tech is suffering from, because when you're trying to do a small startup or trying to do something like that, you don't want to have a $50,000 analytical lab there on site, and you also don't want to be spending $1,500 every time you get a measurement done on your biodiesel with the Alberta Research Council. My apologies to our hosts here, but that's what the cost is to do a complete certification of a biofuel. And a lot of people don't need the complete certification; they just need process control measurements.
Do you have a question?
Pardon?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
To the question. So the point is not so much to answer specifically the question as the particular one on the biofuels. I'm just using that as an example. But the point is, how much do you see advanced control and measurement and other things that are the potential for nanotechnology and clean tech being able to accelerate this whole process? So my question is sort of, do you think we're being held back by the measurement? Or do you think we're being held back by the technology, or how do you see the whole thing fit together?
Well, I mean, I can say that the tools that micro and nanotechnology and stuff that ACAMP's doing has been absolutely critical for a lot of the solutions in clean tech and many other industries. And it kind of leads, it's sort of the front end of the wave. You need the tools, the microscopes, the devices to help you come up with solutions. So it's not a great area for the microscopes and those tools for VC investment, but it's absolutely critical for a lot of things that we would invest in.
Yeah, and the real question is, how much do you think that things have to actually happen out in the field? I see a big change in the model of people sending stuff off to labs or having big labs, and a bigger change towards a lot of field-based stuff that can be done quickly and easily, and that allows you to have smaller operations rather than larger operations.
Well, I know for Sixtron, they're having to build an in-house chemical analysis capability in order to tune the recipe that they use for gasifying their polymer, and you know, they can't advance it by using out of house. So they're having to hire people and build that capability. And it's a significant time and cost impediment. I mean, it's just one data point. But.
So I'll comment, the regulatory environment has become more invasive right across all sectors, whether it be food or whether it be fuel or whether it be other types of, you know, toys for kids. We have 3 companies in our portfolio that are intending to try and target new real-time diagnostics in the field that are cheap and quick for that very reason. Nothing in clean tech just yet, but that's very much the focus. On the flip side, though, there's a huge issue. For example, you talk about biodiesel, and the big challenge right now in both the U.S. and Europe and Canada is the quality of the biodiesel produced and the impact it has on you know, semi-trucks, et cetera, the users of biodiesel. And the fact that, you know, if you're looking at an overall greenhouse or environmental footprint, if you have to rebuild diesel engines, that costs a lot more in terms of environmental footprint than a little bit whether it's fossil fuel versus vegetable biodiesel. So overall, if there's, long story short, if there's nano applications, real-time applications that have reduced the regulatory cost and speed up the efficiency, it's critical. But whether, I don't think the biofuel industry is being singled out in terms of regulatory environment. In fact, actually, I think it's probably getting a pass for the time being. So those that are complaining about too much regulatory environment now, just wait. So if I was in the business of having nano opportunity or a concept, I'd be focusing on it because I think there's real market opportunities for it.
I got a quick question for the panel. Last Thursday, A123 priced their IPO, and there's been a dearth of IPOs of any company, let alone Cleantech, for the last year. They priced, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley did a great job. They priced at the absolute high. In fact, they had to increase the range, and at that high range, first day of trading, it was up 40%. So, you know, a lot of VCs are kind of salivating right now. The market's opening up. But just your thoughts on you know, what this means, or is this good? Was there too much enthusiasm about it?
You know what? It's a heady time in the market. I mean, most people's portfolio are back. You know, up to within 5% of before the drop in October, and the M&A market is very strong, the strongest we've seen it in a couple of years now. So I think across the board, I have no confidence that it's sustainable or going to continue. You know, there's so much cash on the sidelines right now, waiting for a dip to get in, and yet the market keeps going up. That it's kind of a standoff. I mean, it's of unprecedented proportions. So you know, who knows what's going to happen? But you know, part of that 2.8 trillion stimulus, half a trillion dollars of that is Chinese economic stimulus, and the I mean, things are ramping up there. I was there for a couple of weeks last month, and you know, talking to entrepreneurs, the suppliers, the manufacturing shops for our customers. And I mean, business is really starting to come back. They were hurting in January. It was in the electronics industry at an all-time low. But you know, their orders are ramping for Christmas. They're starting to expand in various areas. It really is a combination of these stimulus and the fact that they're, you know, continue to be tied to the U.S. dollar, which is going nowhere but down. And China can't continue to ignore that to enjoy that indefinitely. At some point, they're going to have to let go of the anchor and float on their own, but they're really getting a free ride with it right now.
Good. Maybe time for one more question.